Suffering from earbud-related discomfort and low-quality audio? Try the new Galaxy Buds 3 from Samsung. Now you can listen in comfort throughout your day with a redesigned fit and start hearing all your favorite sounds crystal clear, from your morning workout playlist to your evening podcast. Possible side effects include smiles, happiness, better concentration, and more energy during workouts. Some listeners also experience closer relationships with loved ones due to improved call quality. Visit Samsung.com or ask your local retailer if Galaxy Buds 3 are right for you.
Today on CityCast Houston, the NFL season officially kicks off tonight, and our Houston Texans are opening the season as favorites to win their division. But could they also make a run to the Super Bowl? To help us get caught up on why this Texans team might be the best one in the city's history, I'm bringing on HoustonFootball.com's Cody Stoots. And to get the fans' perspective on what this magical season could mean for the city, Houston Texans diehard fan Pammy Umatiya is also joining the show. It's Thursday, September 5th. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Hey, what's up, Cody? How are you, man?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It's good to finally catch up with you on this.
I know, man. I'm so excited to talk some ball with you. And we also have Pammy on the show today. Pammy, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, I hate to bring up some old beef and rehash this, but Cody, one of our most popular videos on Instagram for CityCast Houston was of me hating on the Texans' new uniforms because they keep going back to the Oilers colors, a team that left the city and never won a Super Bowl. Did you like them using that familiar Oilers blue, aka Houston blue, as they called it?
I like the H-Town blue because it's different enough and it's not like a main color. They've used it as sort of an accent color, which I can kind of appreciate. That's probably my least beef with the uniforms. They went too dark with the blue. It's almost black and it's almost Atlanta Falcons-esque with that current navy blue. So I wonder if maybe in 5 years they might lighten that up just a little bit. But the red uniforms, I would think that in the near future, the red uniforms are maybe going to be the dominant uniforms for the Texans. Those battle reds just look so good.
So good. That's the best thing they made. So I love that. Pammy, as a fan, was that a big deal for the fans, like that Oiler blue being used again?
I mean, it's kind of nice going back to the Oilers colors, and my kids love it. So they were just so excited for a new season. Like, let's go, let's do this, let's get to the Super Bowl this year. So it was kind of like a refresh, restart. Let's get it.
And everything is pointing up for the Texans right now. So, Cody, I'm going to make a bold prediction out the gate, and I want to get your thoughts, okay? The Houston Texans will be Super Bowl bound either this season or next.
I like it. I really don't feel like that's that bold when you've got a really good head coach, like it shows like DeMeco Ryans was, probably should have been coach of the year. Last year, when you got the quarterback, you've put a bunch of really, really good players around the quarterback. You're in a good spot. This is the most talented Texans team I've ever been a part of covering. They've got the quarterback, elite edge rushers, an elite cornerback, offensive lines built up the way they want to build it up. Like, there's just so much to like about the situation that they're in. Now, if they're not there, it's because the AFC is so darn tough. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid up there in Kansas City are sort of the gatekeepers. And until you can get past them, it may be difficult. But, I mean, this Texans team, it should be going where no Texans team has gone before. So that's first the AFC Championship, and then hopefully a Super Bowl run. I'm with you. It's very, very close, and it's the closest it's ever been.
Wow. Okay, so I feel good now. I thought you were going to come on and make fun of me for making this prediction because everything is pointing towards that. And by the way, the AFC is the conference that the Houston Texans play in. And Pammy, as a fan, you are a diehard Texans fan. What would that mean for the city if the Texans were to make the Super Bowl? I don't even care about winning it. Just making the Super Bowl, what would it mean?
Oh, it would mean a lot. I think the fans would go crazy.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for this with David Carr or Matt Schaub years. We're like, come on, give it to us. We really need that Super Bowl. Even if we just get there, it's close to home. It's in New Orleans. So, I think it would be insane. And I think, like Cody said, this is the year to do it. Last year, CJ Stroud, DeMeco Ryans, that was their first year to kind of, figure things out. And now it's like, all right, let's get to the Super Bowl.
Wow, man, that would be so cool. I didn't even know it was in New Orleans this year. So it would be right down the road and it would be a Houston takeover. I'm going to put both of y'all on the spot. Would it be a bigger deal for the Houston Texans to make the Super Bowl this year than the Astros winning the 2017 World Series title.
Ooh, you're tugging at the heartstrings here, because I was an Astros fan and a baseball fan before I was, hardcore into football. 2017 probably still bigger, just with everything in addition to the baseball in the city, just because the Astros sort of became a rallying cry for the city, and that was the first. And you said making versus winning. I mean, winning's always going to take precedent, but it's close. I mean, when football's rolling in this city, this is a town that loves football. So it's pretty close. I'll stick baseball, but it's real close for me.
How about you, Pammy?
I'm with Cody on that one. I think 2017, we were just getting over Hurricane Harvey, and Houston just needed that to like kind of pull us all together and just celebrate a win. And it just brought Houston closer together after that. And we really needed that. And I'm going to go Astros 2017.
Okay, both y'all going Astros. I think it's going to be a way bigger deal with the Texans just making the Super Bowl, because football is king here. Guys, there's more football fans here, unfortunately, right? Like, look, the Astros are awesome. We all love the Astros, but when football is rolling here, there's nothing like it.
But they don't throw participation parades. They throw winning parades.
That's so true. That's so true. Okay, how do we get here, Cody? Because the last few years for the Houston Texans, they were not good, okay? And now every time I turn on a TV and I'm watching SportsCenter or any NFL prediction show, it seems like every pundit is picking the Texans not only to win their division, which is the AFC South, but also to make that long run in the playoffs that could get to the AFC title game and even to the Super Bowl. How do we get here, though?
There's so many different pieces and weird just twists and turns and bits of luck and bits of unluck that turned into luck for this Texans team. It really goes back to Deshaun Watson not wanting to be a part of this organization anymore, their former quarterback. And then he had the legal issues, the off the field issues that prevented the Texans from trading him initially. And so Watson sat out an entire year of football, and that just so happened to push the Texans' opportunity to get a quarterback into the future, because by the time they could trade Watson, there wasn't a quarterback to draft. So the Texans went with Davis Mills for a year. It didn't go great. And then ultimately they end up with the chance to draft CJ Stroud. And they even got a little lucky in that, because the former Houston Texans head coach Lovie Smith and company won a game at the end of the previous season that pushed them from the number 1 overall pick to the number 2 overall pick. And Bryce Young went first, CJ Stroud went second, and Stroud is much better than Bryce to this point in their NFL career. So another thing is just another element of luck. I mean, DeMeco Ryans had head coach interest the year before the Texans signed him. He ultimately decided that he needed another year of seasoning. The Texans actually didn't even talk to him in that hiring cycle. They ended up with Lovie Smith. They were able to move on from Lovie Smith after 1 year by writing a big check. You make Lovie Smith go away, you fire him, and then DeMeco Ryans is ready to be a head coach. And then it's just so perfect. The former Houston Texans draft pick, former captain at linebacker, defensive mastermind, and really, I know a lot of conversation is around, what kind of background do coaches have? Ryans is just a excellent motivator and just coach. I know he's got a defensive background, and a lot of coaches get the offensive mastermind label when they have that type of background, but just the way that he operates, it's a level of professionalism and relation to the players that the Texans haven't had probably since Gary Kubiak as their head coach.
Wow.
I mean, just when you hear players talk about, and I hear it when I hear opposing players and opposing teams talk about it, they are just enamored with how DeMeco Ryans approaches the head coach spot, how he treats players, and then how, having been a former player that's not that far removed, relates to these players as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild, because after they fired Bill O'Brien, they hired David Culley, fired him the next season, and they hired Lovie Smith, fired him after 1 season, and then everything you just mentioned about DeMeco Ryans, they hired him. It was really bad, Pammy, like to the point where fans were not into the Texans at all. I had never seen it like this before. How bad was it those years as a fan, and how excited are fans right now heading into this season?
Oh, it was so frustrating going through all of that. We were just like, can we just figure it out and get a team together and, move on? And I think with DeMeco Ryans, that was like money with them hiring him, just watching his videos in the locker room, he motivates the players and he motivates us. We're like screaming as fans, like, yeah, we got this. Let's go. I mean, he's amazing. And I'm so excited. I think all the fans are so excited for this season and him as our head coach.
The Holocaust Museum Houston's new exhibition, Facing Survival, by David Casson, is now on view through January 5th. David's work has hauntingly captured the poignant stories and portraits of more than 24 Holocaust survivors, including Houston's own Elsa Ross and Ruth Steinfeld. Also featured is Auschwitz survivor Martin Greenfield, who became one of America's greatest men's tailors, making custom suits for 6 presidents and notable celebrities. Holocaust Museum Houston is always free for kids 18 and under and college students. It's also free for everyone Thursdays 2 to 5 p.m. and you can personally meet with a local Holocaust survivor. You can get your tickets now and learn more about Facing Survival at hmh.org/Facing Survival. That's hmh.org/Facing Survival. Your general admission ticket to the Holocaust Museum Houston gets you in all exhibitions and galleries.
Hi, this is David, the CEO of CityCast. Do you ever find yourself holding back on travel because you're afraid of a language gap? Well, mind the gap no longer, as long as you have Babbel. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app. Its 10 minutes lessons are quick and handcrafted to get you talking your new language in 3 weeks. So I was reminded in the Olympics how much I love French. I had spoken French as a kid, but it has deteriorated to nothing. But I thought I would love to take a trip back to France with my girlfriend, but I'm embarrassed because my French is at 0. And I thought, why don't I get on Babbel and revive my French? And it's been a joy for the past few weeks. I'd forgotten everything. I'd forgotten plurals. I'd forgotten articles, vocabulary. Mostly I'd just forgotten how to speak and how to listen. And Babbel has me back on track with lots of speaking and lots of listening, because that's how you get better at a language. So I've been working on time, for example, and there's this way in French where when you say 2:45, you don't say 2:45, you say 3 o'clock minus 15. So, je rentre à 3h moins le quart. I'm coming back at 2:45. Anyway, it's so much fun to speak. And don't take my word for it. There's studies from Yale, from Michigan State University that prove that Babbel works. So here's a special limited time deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Cody, for you, you've been covering the Texans since 2014, and you've been at every open practice during training camp leading up to Sunday's game. I can't remember a time where the city was this excited for the Texans, even during the J.J. Watt years. Do you agree?
This is outside of the very first year of Texans football, where the entire city was just happy to have the NFL back in Houston. This is the most excited I've ever seen this fan base. And it's a conglomeration of so many different things. Look, J.J. Watt and the years where he was super successful, yes, people were excited for those teams. And there were some really good teams that Watt was a part of. But he didn't always have the quarterback, or you didn't always believe in the coach. Like, the belief in the quarterback in C.J. Stroud, the coach in DeMeco Ryans, all the other big-time players, like the additions of Stephon Diggs from Buffalo in a trade this year, adding Danielle Hunter in free agency this year. The other good players that are, draft picks that have come into their own, Will Anderson right away, Derek Stingley a few years after he's gotten drafted, and one of the best corners in football when he's healthy. And then homegrown right around the corner from UH, Tank Dell, the excitement level that he brings to the table. I loved this from DeMeco Ryans in training camp. He said, I don't understand why the entire stadium's not on their feet when the ball gets in Tank Dell's hands, because he is just so exciting and so explosive. And there's just so many different things. Like, there were some really good Texans teams in the past, but I don't know that they could check as many boxes as this team. And I think it's led to a record fever pitch for excitement for this team.
With that being said, Cody, on the other side, the NFL is really, really hard to win in. And every year, teams with high expectations falter. Think about the 2014 Houston Texans where everybody was so excited about this team and they were not good. I mean, they had Super Bowl expectations as well, and they just did not perform. Could this happen to this year's Texans?
If they get derailed, it's not going to be by their own doing. It's going to be by bad luck. I mean, there's some spots where injuries could really take this team and put them in a precarious position on a week in, week out basis. They don't have a tremendous amount of depth along the offensive line. They don't have a lot of depth in the defensive secondary, at defensive back, cornerback. So a couple of injuries here and there could really make it a much tougher situation every week than if you're not super successful early on. That maybe makes it a little bit tougher there down the stretch, specifically that 10-day stretch where they're going to play the Miami Dolphins, the Kansas City Chiefs, and then the Baltimore Ravens. Like, that's a really tough stretch. And if you told me they were going to go 0-3 in that stretch, well, that probably hurts their chances to achieve what they want to achieve. If you told me they're going to go 3-0, I'd probably start booking my ticket to New Orleans, you know? So, but I just believe in this coaching staff and the players that if healthy, I don't see how they're going to fail enough to be disappointing.
One other thing that listeners might not know, last year, the Houston Texans played a last place schedule. And what that means is when they entered the season, they were the last place team in their division. So you get a softer schedule. You don't get tough games. Last year, they won the whole thing in their division. So now this year, they're playing a first place schedule. So you're playing teams like the Dolphins, the Ravens, and the Chiefs, who are the defending Super Bowl champions. So that might make things a little bit harder. But nonetheless, you've got a lot of good games, and the bandwagon seems like it's going to be full. And for those of us who want to jump on the bandwagon, Pammy, we want to welcome all the fans, okay? Like, I'm not a hater. Sure. I'm like, oh, you're late to the party. Like, come on, more fans, the better. Give us some tips, Pammy. How can people jump on the bandwagon? Like, how should they get into this excitement of the NFL season?
Oh, I think first they just need to start watching the games and just go to the tailgates, have like watch parties. The more fans, the better. So let's all watch them and root them on so that they know that we all have their back.
And if you're not going to the game, Cody, you're really good at this because you are a football fan. Are there like sports bars or places that you recommend that people can go watch and really be behind this team?
There's just so many different options. I feel like anytime the Texans aren't in town, you could find a watch party somewhere, anywhere. Wing places are great. I feel like wings and football are just, they're great tag team partners. So any big wing place is going to have a lot of Texans stuff to watch. It is so fun to be in a sports bar with fans rooting for the same thing that you're rooting for. So when they're on the road or you can't make it out to the game or the tailgates, yeah, a fantastic sports bar, preferably a wing place. That's my go-to. It is certainly a good approach to watch the game.
And the Houston Texans are doing a lot of watch parties as well when the team is on the road. So make sure you follow them and, keep up with what their latest news and offerings are for road watch parties. I am the opposite of y'all. I hate going to watch parties. When I'm watching a team that I love, like the Houston Texans or my Texas Longhorns, it has to be me and a screen and maybe like two other people. I am all in. I don't want to be around people. I can't do it. It's too nervous for me, Pammy.
Oh, you probably don't want me around you because I will be screaming my head off when they win and all those games and we get to the Super Bowl. I think me, along with every other fan, is going to be going crazy.
How about you, Cody? Are you a watch alone kind of guy or I need a group around me kind of guy?
So I am command center, locked in, doors locked, phones on do not disturb. I actually had a college friend. He's like, am I ever going to get to watch a Texans game with you? And I was like, no, I don't think so.
No.
It would not be a pleasant experience for them, but I'm locked in 2, 3, maybe screens if I can get them set up, just so I can have my own built-in replays. Yeah, it's an isolation thing for me, for sure.
You guys need to stay away from us crazy fans then.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, the Texans get going on Sunday against the Colts. That's their first game. I can't wait for it. Any final thoughts, Cody?
This is going to be such a fun season. I think they're going to come out of the gates very strong. And this first 6, 7 games of the season, they're going to put up some really fun, big numbers, so a lot of wins, and then it's going to set up for a really interesting, intriguing middle part to later part of that schedule, and they're going to be right in the thick of things this year.
Pammy, how about you? Because the Texans get going. Hopefully the Astros are in the playoffs and making another run. This is the perfect time to be a fan in the city of Houston.
This is it. And Rockets up and coming with their young team. I feel like this is our year. I'll see you guys at the Super Bowl. I'll see you guys at the World Series, and I'll see you at the NBA championship.
Wow. All right. We're going to all three. I love it.
Three.
I love the optimism. Cody, thank you so much for joining us. Pammy, thank you so much. Yeah, I thought I was going to hype y'all up. Now I'm hyped. So I appreciate it. Let's get this going.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Raheel. I'm so hyped. I got to go. Like, I got to leave now. So you got me too hyped up. So I'm out of here.
That was HoustonFootball.com's Cody Stoots and longtime Houston Texans fan Pammy Umatiya. Cody covers the Texans, so be sure to check out all of his work with the link in our show notes. Before we go, send this episode to 3 of the biggest Texans fans you know, and please review the podcast wherever you listen. Want even more game day tips? Subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Houston, with the link in our show notes. Thanks. That will do it for today. I'm Raheel Ramzanali. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something new. Y'all can say bye, just like a thanks.
Bye.